Wake up in the morning feeling psych. You thought I was going to say it, but nope. We all know P. Diddy's canceled now, so that's no good. But before we get into the meat of this video, I'm going to let Baby Girl take it from here and show us the new Kesha song, or the new version of this.
Wake up in the morning feeling like this city. Grab my glasses, I'm out the door. I'm gonna hit P. Diddy. Hey, what up? I'm back, cause when I see you for the night.
This P. Diddy thing has to be the biggest cancellation of all time. But you know what's even funnier? He's basically similar to Jeffrey Epstein, and we haven't even solved the whole Jeffrey Epstein case yet. And funnily enough, I think of this as like the Jeffrey Epstein situation, but for adults. So who's really been to his freak-offs? We'll find out as the weeks unfold and we learn more about the P. Diddy incident. But all we can do right now is just speculate on TikTok. So I'm going to show you some of the clips that I found, and we'll go from there.
Leonardo DiCaprio has broken his silence on hanging out with Diddy after a picture emerged of him at the rapper's notorious white party.
This is a celebration of life. This is the legendary white party. It's the real white party. Make some noise if you've been here before.
Diddy was arrested last week and indicted in the Southern District of New York on serious charges of racketeering, trafficking, and trafficking to engage. The rapper is accused of forcing women into elaborate and produced performances, described as freak-offs. Diddy once declared the Titanic star as the #1 person on his white party invitation list. However, a source close to the A-lister says Leo has not been in contact with Combs for years, saying he never attended freak-offs. As well as mixing with Diddy in the early 2000s, the Great Gatsby actor was also seen dancing beside the musician at his 50th birthday in 2019. DailyMail.com has contacted DiCaprio for official comment.
Spoiler alert, they haven't gotten back to Daily Mail, but yeah, now that P. Diddy's gone to jail, he's trying to take as many people down with him. Maybe he's lying, maybe he's being honest, but who knows? Who knows what's real nowadays? But it's just funny how these freak-offs are eerily similar to Epstein's Island. Let's go to the next one.
All right, Usher, Justin Bieber, Diddy.
Oh, hang on, wrong one.
You're
There we go.
legendary for
This
the parties
one.
that you throw.
I'm a legend, baby,
So this, oh yeah, hang on.
for a whole bunch of things.
Yes.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year. Hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it.
Justin, right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when, you know, he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. And we gonna go buck full crazy.
We're going crazy.
Crazy.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well,
Damn.
I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Damn. But yeah, so apparently P. Diddy camp has traumatized the living shit out of Justin Bieber. And I guess apparently to the point where Usher doesn't even want to send his kids to that camp. But yeah, this next clip goes a little more into detail about Usher's life with P. Diddy as he was a rising star.
All right, Usher, Justin Bieber, Diddy. This is how they all connect. When Usher was super young, he got signed to a guy named L.A. Reid, this famous music executive. Usher then loses his voice. L.A. Reid wants to help him, get back on track, so he sends him over to this guy named Puff Daddy. And as you can imagine, Usher had a problem. He just didn't know it yet. See, Puff Daddy was this up-and-coming music executive who could really turn someone into a star. He put them through this thing called Flavor Camp. And during Usher's term in this Flavor Camp, he lived with Puff. And in Usher's words, he would see questionable things. He said at any given time, you can open the door and see a bunch of random people playing Netflix. He said he would be up all night partying when...
That winking is, people getting intimate. And keep in mind, Usher was exposed to all of this as a kid because he wasn't of age when he went to the Flavor Camp concept of P. Diddy's flavor camp.
All he really wanted to do was go to the studio, and this is when people speculate that Diddy did something to Usher. Now, I need you to listen to me. I'm gonna give you the evidence as to why people believe this, but until you hear words from Usher, Diddy, Justin Bieber, nobody knows anything. All right, so Diddy and Usher are in an interview with Kevin Hart. Diddy said, "Hey, yo, pause, when Usher used to live with me, we used to wrestle for Frosted Flakes." Kevin Hart said, "What?"
What?
And he grabs Kevin Hart and pulls him off camera because Kevin Hart doesn't have a filter. After Diddy's flavor camp, Usher comes out with an album called Usher. It has really explicit...
There must have been a side of baby oil with those Frosted Flakes.
...details about why...
As a lot of you have probably known by this point, P. Diddy also ordered a shitload of baby oil. So possibly there's been some wrestling with said baby oil. And then maybe the Frosted Flakes were just sprinkled onto there.
Watching Netflix, everybody's like, nah, this is uncomfortable. And people actually did not like the album because his young voice talking about those details really threw people off. And of course, the album was executively produced by Puff Daddy. His mom was like, yo, what the... So she grabs Usher. You got former bodyguards coming out saying, yeah, Diddy was very inappropriate with Usher. There's a rumor that Usher got sent to the hospital because of an encounter with Diddy. In fact, rumors have been circulating for like 20 years about this situation. Which brings us to Usher and Justin Bieber. See, Justin Bieber was coming up in the same way Usher was, like when he was super young. L.A. Reid again found Justin Bieber. Usher and Justin Timberlake both wanted to sign Bieber, but Bieber chooses Usher and Usher basically becomes a mentor. Now, Usher then sends a young Bieber to Diddy for 48 hours. And in this interview, Diddy's saying stuff like, man, Justin is doing things that any 15-year-old would dream of doing. And the thing that's always kind of annoyed me about Diddy personally is he's always towing this imaginary line in interviews. Because of his ego, he has been snitching on himself in interviews. If you listen, he'll say something like, Justin be having a really good time with me. If no one acknowledges it, he'll be like,
the number one rule that defense lawyers will tell you is to stop snitching. Or self-snitching, there we go.
Like, I can't say too much. You know what I'm saying? But like a really good time. I can't say too much though. You feel me? And he'll do this like throughout the whole interview. But here's the thing about Justin Bieber. He's been insanely harassed by the entertainment industry over the years. In fact, Justin Bieber comes out with a song about it where he's not just talking about one person. He's talking about the whole industry. In fact, Justin Bieber starts crying in an interview when Billie Eilish's name is brought up. He says that he wants to protect her and young people in the industry so they won't go through what he went through. And here's where it gets very wicked. Something you gotta understand is the music industry is known for being very wicked. We just talked about Billie Eilish, right? Well, somebody got to her too. She eventually tells her brother, and her brother gets the person fired. We talking about Billie Eilish. Matter of fact, Taylor Swift even came out and said something happened to her too. And I need you to think about that for a second.
Even Taylor Swift, the girl that everyone loves because of her breakup songs? No effing way.
If the industry has the audacity to do something like this to a Taylor Swift, who had powerful parents, a bona fide star at the time, this is just culture at that point. What do you think they're doing to people who aren't famous? So back to these three. Usher deletes his social media for a day because people are going in on him about him sending Justin Bieber to Diddy. People are saying, for all the things that you went through, Usher, why would you send Justin over? And here's what I want to say. Celebrities are human beings, and human beings are complicated. So maybe it's not as simple as Usher bad because he sent Justin to Diddy. My whole life, I've witnessed the insane things that Diddy has gotten away with in an industry, in a world that allows billionaire music executives to do whatever they want. If you don't know what this is about, look in the comments. So it's probably a little difficult to go against someone like that, especially if you have allegedly been groomed by them. Or Usher could be just as wicked as Diddy. Point is, I have no idea, and I know you don't either. But from what all I know about Diddy, if I had to guess, I would say Diddy probably called up Usher and said, yo, I heard you just signed a kid named Justin. Usher probably said, oh yeah, he's a good kid, he's a good kid. Then Diddy will say something like, why don't you just send him over? You know I'm gonna get to him anyway. Send him over, bro, ha 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 ha. That's how he worked. But again, that's just my guess. Either way, in the next coming months, we're gonna find more about the Diddy situation.
You know, Usher doesn't seem as traumatized as Justin Bieber, so maybe Usher ended up playing a role in these P. Diddy freak-offs. That's just me putting on my tinfoil hat. Don't mind me. But that would be one hell of a twist, wouldn't it? Or maybe he's just got the mental fortitude of a god.
Things are heating up now because
But yeah, now we're going to get to News Daddy, and he's going to tell us about how some of these politicians are getting involved too. So it's not even just celebrities, but actual politicians are being exposed to these freak offs. So now you're starting to see how this is becoming more and more similar to Epstein's case, because Epstein had obviously politicians and celebrities on his island.
Diddy's former bodyguard has just come out and claimed that Diddy has compromising tapes of politicians at his infamous freak-off parties. And now, listen up, because these two things may not be connected at all. But remember recently when we were talking about all of those New York officials getting their houses raided and their devices seized, and then 10 days later, Diddy gets arrested in New York? Well, his former bodyguard believes that those two things are connected because of Diddy's relationship with the New York mayor, Eric Adams, who appointed all of these people who are now getting investigated. And listen to this, because on top of the people whose homes were raided, since then, New York's police commissioner resigned without reason. The mayor's chief counsel resigned without reason. The school's chancellor, the health commissioner, and emergency management commissioner have all announced plans to leave in the coming months. And again, these things may not be connected at all because we're still waiting for the FBI to disclose the reason for all of these raids. But one thing is for sure, right now is a very bad time to be connected to Diddy.
Yep. And funnily enough, Eric Adams, he didn't mention in this video, but Mayor Eric Adams gave P. Diddy the keys to the city last year. Yes, last year. And this came to light shortly after the allegations. And talk about timing on that, because shortly after the P. Diddy allegations, now people are trying to go after Mayor Adams for a whole bunch of scandals, and they're trying to use this as one of the reasons to go after Mayor Adams. So it's been just one hell of a shit show for the New York City mayor as well.
I'm sure it feels good to be a CEO.
And then not only that, but we also have a bunch of CEOs resigning shortly after P. Diddy's arrest. So not only do you have politicians and celebrities, but you have actual motherfucking CEOs getting roped into this mess as well. So these freak offs are, really freaking these people off, if you know what I mean.
Of a Fortune 500 company and have friends like P. Diddy. But for these CEOs that I'm about to name, that have all been stepping down since the arrest of P. Diddy, I'm sure they're not having a good time right now. So to start the list, T.D. Jakes has stepped down, and now his daughter is taking his place. Lucien Grange has stepped down. His son now leads. Howard Schultz has stepped down. His son now leads. John Paul DeJoria has stepped down. His daughter now leads. Yeah, Paul Mitchell. Kevin Liles has stepped down. John G. Taft has stepped down as well, and his son now leads his position. Ruth Handler, her
Even
daughter now
Barbie
leads.
girl.
Ruth Handler is actually the inventor of Barbie. Ronald Perlman.
That's wild. Even the inventor of Barbie, who is an old lady, went to these freak offs. Oh my God. Now I'm really curious.
Stepped down. His daughter now leads. Nike CEO John Donahoe, he has stepped down. The head of Sony.
Even Nike. Just do it, man, right? Just fucking do it. Just do them freak offs.
Music Nashville, Randy Goodman has stepped down. The CEO of Warner Music Japan, I can't pronounce his name, so yeah.
Kaz Kobayashi.
Y'all try. At this point, being a friend to P. Diddy is detrimental to your career, so I'm not sure how you guys are handling it. But again, it's your boy Brian. Much respect. I'm out.
I'm still not over that even the Barbie CEO went to these freak offs, because I have to imagine that she was still relatively old when she went to these P. Diddy freak offs. So my mind is getting completely twisted. I don't know what's real anymore. I feel like we're just in a altered reality. We're just in some sort of crazy reality right now.
So I knew P.
Maybe this is all just one crazy dream and we're going to wake up. We're just going to wake up and all of it will be a dream. Oh yeah, now this one, she talks about her experiences being a wine server for P. Diddy.
Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs 20 years ago. And let me just say that everything that's coming out about him now is not a surprise.
It's a bit of a slow start, but just wait for it. It gets really spicy.
Let me make myself very clear. I am in no way comparing my experiences with him to anything that's being alleged in the court documents against him. I knew him tangentially, briefly, and I do not mean to compare myself to his victims. However, I did know him, and sometimes the vibes you get from a person are just correct. So back in 2004, I was a waitress in New York City, and Diddy was making his Broadway debut in a play called A Raisin in the Sun. And the steakhouse that I worked in was very near his Broadway theater. So he would stop by our steakhouse frequently, and he became my regular. Sometimes he would come with friends, managers, people in the business, guests from the play. Sometimes he would come on dates with a parade of beautiful women, rarely the same one twice. So at this parade of beautiful women, he liked to impress them with his wine knowledge, except he didn't really have a ton of wine knowledge at the time. So he would stop by the restaurant on
Like most guys don't, including myself. But you can never go wrong with Pinot Noir. Most ladies, they seem to love the Pinot Noir.
his way to the theater when I was
That's just some free game for you.
just starting my shift, 5, 6 o'clock. Pull me aside, we'd get out the wine list, which was a huge leather-bound Bible, 50, 60 pages, incredible wine list. And he would start flipping through the wines to choose something for his dinner date later that evening. And he liked French wines. So we would flip to the French wine section and just start looking through some different titles. And I would point to one, oh, this is really nice. What about this? What about a Chateau Margaux? What about a Petrus? What about a Lafite? And he would point at the price tag and go, I don't like her that much. Okay, so every day before he would go to the theater, he would meet me at the restaurant and we would choose a wine. We would figure it out together, which wine he was going to have for dinner that evening. And I would pronounce it for him and he would practice saying it. Okay, it's Chateauneuf de Pape. It's Chateau Mouton
Chateau Mouton
Rothschild.
Rothschild.
I would teach him how to pronounce the wine in French. I would write it down for him, send him off to the show. He would go do his Broadway play.
VIP.
Then he would come back after the show with his date, and we would put on a little improv of our own. I would greet him. Hey, how was the show tonight? Chat, chat, chat. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Small talk. I would say, are we having some wine with dinner tonight? He would say yes. Open up the wine list. Pretend to peruse it until he found the wine that we had already practiced. Point to it and say with confidence, I'll have the 1986 Chateauneuf de Pape, which of course I had already pulled from the wine cellar and was holding in the station around the corner. Very good, Mr. Combs. Excellent choice.
It's funny how they had to rehearse the whole ordering process just in preparation of these dates.
Go into the service station, grab his wine, come right out with it, right? Harmless enough. Our little charade. But one time, the wine that he and I had planned to have available for him for his date that night was not available. I don't know what happened. I don't
And this is where it gets wild, guys. Buckle up.
know if someone bought it between 6 and 10 p.m. or if we never had it in stock in the first place. But he came in, picked a wine, went to the theater, came back, tried to order the wine that he and I had picked, and I had to tell him, I'm so sorry, we don't have it.
Bum, bum, bum.
That must have embarrassed him because he was thrown off his game. And he got so angry at me. The flash of rage that I saw in his eyes. He does not like to be humiliated.
Some powerful wording.
Embarrassed, told no. And instead of taking it in stride and just choosing something else or empowering me to choose something else for him, he lost his temper. He was pissed. Like, a little too pissed. When you're the help around people of a certain status, you really see their true colors shine through. And I was always on his good side, as long as I was serving him, helping him keep up appearances. And the one time I failed him, God help me, his temper came out like that. And he punished me financially. He didn't leave me a tip. Was I a victim of Diddy? Absolutely not. However, I did get a little window inside the psyche of this man. Ladies, when you perceive a sign from a man, believe it.
You were a victim of getting stiffed by a Karen. Holy shit. P. Diddy or some random on the street? That's the same shit. These servers, man, they get shit on, guys. So be sure to tip your servers. Even if the service isn't the best, try to leave them with at least 20%.
Hey, everybody know ain't.
Oh yeah, and now we have our boy now we have LeBron, who's hyping up these P Diddy parties. Obviously, clip of him that didn't age too well, and now the internet's going crazy about LeBron bragging about these parties because, for all we know, he could have been in a freak off. So this could very well be a stain on his legacy.
No party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Yes,
Clips that aged poorly for 1,000.
Diddy parties.
And then this one goes a little more into depth about the Diddy freak-offs, or not the freak-offs, but just the differences between Diddy parties and Diddy freak-offs. So let's see what this guy has to say and what kind of research he's done.
And Diddy freak-offs are two different things, y'all. So when some of these names drop, let's be a little careful and make sure we distinct which ones they were going to. There are multiple celebrities out there that said they went to a Diddy party and they were kicked out because the freak-off was about to start.
Diddy had put everybody else out the crib. Like the influx of people, he had put them out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time. Man.
So there will be celebrities that were at a Diddy party for sure, but there are also
almost every celebrity, if you ask me.
Also celebrities who were probably kicked out or left before the freak-offs took place. I do think, me included, that we gotta be careful with who we bunch in with who, because this could also be a way to blackmail the people who decided not to stay for the freak-offs, as there is documentation that Diddy would use the fact that people wouldn't go to the freak-offs to try to ruin their careers. Which makes sense. If somebody knows about the freak-offs but they're not attending it, it's more likely that they'll have the notion to tell people, especially if they're not included in that situation. The next few days, weeks, or whatever is going to be very interesting. Everything is moving real fast. It's going to be crazy, bro.
Now, speaking of that, do you think LeBron went to a freak-off, or was it just a party, just based off of the description on that video? And I'll leave you with that thought. And not only that, but obviously can't forget about the granny who made Barbies that went to these freak-offs. Obviously, because she resigned shortly after P. Diddy got arrested. So 80% chance that that could have been the case. Crazy times we're living in. Good chat.